You're watching TelecomTV's exclusive video coverage of the SDN and OpenFlow World Congress event from Dusseldorf. And I'm joined now by Nan Chen, who is the founder of the MEF and co-founder of CNEX. Nan, good to talk to you again and me. We last spoke in Vancouver at the MEF's members meeting. It's a fast-moving business, a lot changes, a lot moves. I'd like to ask, first of all, SDN and OpenFlow. How does SDN fit with the MEF's commitment to furthering the development and reach of carrier Ethernet and its latest initiative, the third network?
Yeah, it's a good question. Good seeing you, man. One of the key things SDN is really developing this SDN controller. And SDN controller is concerned with the network elements as well as the network infrastructure, but not concerned with end-to-end services. That's what MEF is doing, developing what we call Lifecycle Service Orchestration, LSO for short. It really defines ability to deliver end-to-end services, which is facing what customers really need. That's the difference.
So you're saying that in order to bridge the gap from today's legacy networks to the SDN and NFV networks that we're talking about now, you need this extra component, this Lifecycle Services Orchestration.
Yeah, that's correct. Because even in the existing environment as well as the new environment, and many times as we've seen the transition of previous revolutions of telecom networks, you're always going to have a long period of time where you have existing infrastructure as well as the new infrastructure based on SDN or NFV for that matter. And you need that transition to be smooth. And then LSO is a way to do that, to give you that ability to deliver end-to-end services crossing the physical as well as the virtual world.
And all this together, does this create the third network?
Yes, the third network, on the other hand, is really the service, network as a service, which enable best of the both worlds, which I talked about before, is between the agility and ubiquity of internet plus the performance and security of carrier Ethernet. So with that combination, you need service orchestration, which we call LSO, to be able to deliver that service.
So as an operator, how would I go about looking at my existing legacy OSS investment? I spent a lot in that. How do I go about then looking towards LSO? Do I have to wait for SDN and NFV to appear? Do I have to do things simultaneously? Do I have to rip out my existing investment?
Not at all. I think that's really the beauty about the service orchestration is it really allow you to be able to initially, with the deployment LSO on top of the OSS people has today, to give that ability to deliver the automation that people are looking for and the service agility people are looking for, the ability to reduce the cost and also the ability to simplify the networks. And I think, in general speaking, that deployment of the LSO to enable them to transition from existing infrastructure to a new infrastructure, without problem.
So I guess also as an operator, I'm looking for standardized LSO.
Right.
How is the MEF working? How are you working with partners and other standards bodies and organizations to create these necessary standards?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. I think, obviously MEF is playing a leading role in terms of delivering the LSO standards, which is a set of functions and APIs enable that third networks, which is automated delivery of secure, assured, agile services and orchestrate real time across multiple carriers. But the SDN and NFV is obviously defined in a different organization. We work closely with them, especially on the definitions of the APIs, which is a critical component. And to be able to have that standard APIs and to be able to work with the SDN controllers as well as the NFV manuals.
So that's what the MEF is doing. What about CNEX? What's CNEX bringing?
Oh yeah, CNEX obviously is as some people describe us as early mover first mover in terms of the service orchestration. What Synix has been doing is really working with network operators and tier 1 operators specifically, and to be able to enable them to transition from the existing OSS, which is typical, take a long time to deploy services, to new dynamic ways, agile, assured ways to deliver the services on the existing infrastructure, and also transition them into a new infrastructure without changing the applications that they currently already have. So we're building a LSO layer to enable the physical infrastructure to be able to deliver the services today in an automated way, but also deliver in a new way, which is based on SDN and NFV.
Does LSO require big data capabilities? Because you look at today's OSS, there's not a lot of network data abstraction going on.
Right. That actually is a fundamental engine, if you would, for LSO, to have the intelligence to be able to automate. So you have to have different data sources. First of all, you have to clean it up, make sure they're actually clean. So the continuous audit and reconciliation becoming really important. And once you get all the data clean and all ingested into the LSO data model, which is another key component of such, from there you can do big data analytics. That's where it gave you the intelligence, not only the initial provisioning of your networks, but more importantly, the planning and the service assures all the networks going forward, which is a really important part of the overall intelligent building for LSO. And then that actually is why the LSO gave you that service agility and gave you that capability to reduce the cost, because many aspects of the intelligence has been built into the LSO.
I see. So for all this to work effectively and efficiently, we need a solid ecosystem of not just NFV and SDN, but LSO as well.
That's right. I fundamentally believe, I think is shared by many operators in the MEF, is that LSO, SDN, and NFV are three fundamental building blocks for a new generation of network. And that's obviously is a way forward.
Final question for you. It's a year or so since the MEF launched the third network. Mm-hmm. How has it been progressing, and what can we expect to see next?
Well, let me answer reversely. What you can see next is that we have a LSO reference architecture coming out in 2 weeks. So it's supposed to be ratified and approved. So from there, you can build many things on that reference architecture, standardized. And as far as the progression goes, it's growing as probably fast as expected. And you have to remember the third network is it's a watershed moment for our industry. And if you think about it, you have an internet, which has been here for a long time. And then you have carrier ether networks, which is another network, the second network, data network, which is growing tremendously. In 2012, it actually passed all the bandwidth, legacy bandwidth combined. In 2017, it would be 75% of bandwidth on the carrier Ethernet. So you have two networks, but each has the pros and cons. And like we mentioned earlier, internet is great with agility, with ubiquity, but a lack of security and performance. And carrier Ethernet, on the other hand, gave you ability to have the performance guarantees and the security, but take times to implement in terms of initial provisioning. So the third network is a big industry-changing event where we define a service enabled by LSO to be able to have a service, have a best of both worlds, which is the internet like agility and ubiquity, but also plus the carrier Ethernet like the performance as well as the security. So with that kind of service, it's going to take some time, but we obviously believe in the industry, and when everybody works together, we can make that happen.
Excellent. And Jen, thank you very much indeed.
Absolutely.